Now this is a great question covering stuff from Unit 5. It's the Macro 2011 question 2. In AI, it starts off with a question for the loanable funds market in Japan. The question told you there's a lot of foreign investment from the European Union into Japan. So you have to draw the graph, show the shift, and identify what happens to the real interest rate. Remember, the loanable funds has real interest rate, and down here is the quantity of loans. It's a regular demand supply, downward sloping demand curve, upward sloping supply. And you've got an equilibrium real interest rate and a certain quantity of loans. If all these foreign investors from Europe show up, that's going to increase the supply of loans, right? They're the ones who are going to supply more loans to the people in Japan. So supply shifts to the right. This will lower the interest rate, increase the quantity. For drawing and shifting that graph, there's 1 point. In the next part, it asks what's going to happen to Japanese employment when there's that decrease in real interest rate. Now watch out for ones like this. It's not saying unemployment, it's saying employment. The answer is employment's going to increase. Now this is an explain question, so explain how you got that answer. The reason why is because a decrease in the interest rate is going to increase investment. A business is more likely to take out a loan if interest rates are low. It'll also increase consumption spending for interest-sensitive goods like cars. This will increase aggregate demand because both of these are shifters of aggregate demand. And an increase in aggregate demand means increased output, which means increased employment. So that right there is worth 2 points. 1 point for saying employment is going to increase, 1 point for saying how. In part B, it switches over from loanable funds over to foreign exchange markets. It also switches countries. Instead of looking at Japan, it's going to look at Canada. The question tells you that the real interest rate in Canada starts to increase compared to Mexico. It asks you to draw the foreign exchange market for Canadian dollars compared to Mexican pesos. So in the y-axis, we have the number of pesos you get for each Canadian dollar. And down here we have the quantity of Canadian dollars. Just like the loanable funds, a foreign exchange is a downward sloping demand curve and an upward sloping supply curve. This creates a certain exchange rate and a quantity in the market for foreign exchange. If the real interest rate in Canada increases, then people in Mexico don't want to put their money into Mexican assets. They want to go buy Canadian assets because they get a higher rate of return. So this would increase the demand for Canadian dollars and increase the exchange rate, which means the Canadian dollar would appreciate relative to the Mexican peso. So drawing and labeling this graph is 1 point, and showing that shift is the second point. So right here, there's 2 points. The last part asks you what's going to happen to Canadian exports if the Canadian dollar appreciates. Well, Canadian exports are going to decrease. I wrote if the Canadian dollar appreciates, Mexico will buy less Canadian products since they're more expensive. This last part here with the explanation is another 1 point. So add them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The total is out of 6 points. Add them up, see how you did. Until next time.